Hello and greetings from California. Excuse me. Second I come on camera, I got a belch, I swear. But we got a lot to talk about today. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing okay. If I could find my first story, I'd be even better. Well, the first story I can remember offhand. Amanda Knox is still fighting charges. Oh, here it is, in Italy. She went back. Fortunately, she received time served. Girl, you couldn't melt and pour me back in that country. They don't like your butt. They don't like you, heifer. They don't like you. I don't know why you trying to fight convictions over there. You got home, you got your money. Don't worry about it. I'd stay out of Europe if I were you. You one pink toe they don't care for. They set you up and dang near strung you up. I wouldn't go back. I'd let them call me everything but a child of God. They doing it anyway. Over there crying again for no damn reason. And heifer, you need to shut up news. This woman, Maitland Ward, who was also a cast member on Boy Meets World, Trina McGee, said she is pregnant at 54. Well, her co-star, Maitland Ward, said, is she actually pregnant? Because you know she's 54. I think at 54, you really know if you pregnant or not. I'm sure they run that blood work a couple of times. I'm sure she was shaking that pregnancy test like, for what? Or she didn't get pregnant on accident. Either way, why are you questioning it? Why are you worried about her womb? Why? Mind your business, heifer. Mind your business. And of course, she is this. In Pink Toes in Crisis news, Travis Kelce says, I don't wash my feet either sometimes. You are a football player. You need to be getting up in them toes. It's called athlete's foot, and you are an athlete. And this is why there's athlete's foot. This is why. This is it right here. This is why there's athlete's foot, because you ain't washing your feet. I always like to get in between my toes. I enjoy the feeling of a soapy rag betwixt each little piggy. What is wrong with a clean foot? And you got to listen to this tweet from his brother, Jason. All of you have been fed diabolical lies that washing every crevice of your bodies and hair all the time is somehow better and healthier. It is. What is wrong with getting the crevices, the nooks, and especially the crannies? What's wrong with getting here and behind the ear? What's wrong with that? Where dirt builds up in the cracks and the crevices. He said any dermatologist, and get this line will live in my heart forever, not in bed with big soap, will agree. Not in bed with big soap. Hot spots are all that is necessary. Oh my God, you see, this is the problem. Yeah, hot spots are definitely important. But when you neglect other spots, then they become hot spots. That's why you get all the crevices, because everything in your body is 98 degrees. That's the human body temperature, 98.6 degrees. Some of us are 97, some of us are 99. Everything is a hot spot. Oh my God. Why get in the shower if you're not going to do it? Why? Like why not just not shower? Like, commit to your funk. Oh. Big soap. In bed with big soap. In that news, the sheriff um, of Florida wants Sean Kingston to pay for his extradition to California because they had to fly him air felon. And they said the taxpayers should not have to pay the $5,623. You could have put his ass on Spirit. The hell? See, that is fraud and government waste. Because he ain't got no luggage. He ain't got luggage to first. Put that ass on Spirit. The hell? What the hell wrong with you? $5,000 for a plane ticket. What? Air felon? I don't think so. Spirit would have got the job done. I'm sorry. Y'all the ones out here wasting tax dollars. That is bull. Thank you. Spirit coach at that. And I know he big boned it. So you're going to have to tuck them arms in. Tuck them in. You ain't even getting the exit row. That's where your prison sentence starts. I'm still not over big soap. We don't have to get every crevice. I like to get every crevice. The crevices are where it's at. That's why you washing. Dirt don't hang out on the cheek. It gets in the folds. Oh my God. Oh Lord. Oh my God. Oh Lord. Back to the news. I had to get these lips. Now I have a question for you. Quavo has sparked a barbershop debate. So Quavo walks into a barber and he made his current client give up his seat. Who was in the wrong? The barber for asking, the client for getting up, or Quavo for not taking his seat and waiting his turn? Who was wrong? I know I would be 38 hot if anybody walked in during my haircut. This is why I cut my own hair. But I would be 38 hot if my this is why I went to a barber right downstairs from me, and I went to the Dominican barbers because Black barbershops may not always be the friendliest spaces for gay men. So rather than deal with that, I'm just gonna go to the Dominicans, where if they ain't talking about me, I don't know. It's not my business. But they never cared. They never cared. We can have a whole conversation about the difference of masculine expectations and all that, but they never cared. I'm sure my barber knew I was gay, but he was just like $25, and kept me clean. But he was always available. I could not imagine being, have your hairs done and you got to get up and wait for somebody else. Hell no. Now, I could understand maybe if he had said, okay, I'm waiting on him. When he comes in, I'm going to have to stop. Maybe if they had said that prior. But other than that, I'm not getting up with half my head done. I'm like, we're going to have to finish this. Show would. Shout out to Forest Rocks. Shout out to Forest Rocks. Exactly. Now, if Quavo paid for my cut, I might let him cut. There we go. Now, I could do that. Unless I had somewhere to be. If I had somewhere to be, I got somewhere to be. The city girls have broken up. Are we upset? Are we sad? Are we mad? I'm not happy. I mean, but I feel like, I would say I don't feel like they ever reached their potential. I feel like I'll take your man, and that was cute. And like maybe one or two other bops, but I feel like City Girls was more of like a hot girl. Like City Girls, I feel, was much more of a phrase than a rap group. That's what I would consider City Girls, a phrase. Like if I'm a city girl, I'm a city girl, I'm a hot girl this summer. Like we ain't really listening to the music. Now Meg we listen to. Adam Levine says he's coming back to The Voice. Do we know anyone who has won The Voice? Do we know any contestant who has gotten into movies or television from The Voice? Where is their Fantasia? Where is their Jennifer? Where is their Kelly? Like, at least American Idol gave us some stars and Clay Aiken. I mean, Daughtry's still outperforming. Ooh, that man is fine. Ruben Studdard, is Ruben Studdard still making music? I know he's doing county fair tours, but he's still getting $5,000 a pop. But the voice, I don't know, not near. It's silence when it comes to the talent. Silence. In pink toe news, in a Texas safari, a giraffe grabbed a toddler out of the vehicle. In Texas, in an open-air safari, a giraffe went through the sunroof and plucked a toddler out of the vehicle. Y'all don't need to get that close up to nature. You really don't. I don't know what this obsession with safari is. Like, you know what safaring is for me? Going to open houses because I get to, explore different living rooms. I'm not going in your living room if you can eat me or do me grievous bodily harm on accident. I'm not. That's what Discovery Channel is for. We got great TV now, 4K. 4K, you can even put on an Oculus and really get 3D with it. Get yourself, and I bet you could have gotten an Oculus for the same cost as the tickets to that park. People, we got to start staying our butts at home. I ain't even going to a zoo. Oh, hey, Aaron. Hold on. We're going to open it up in a minute. I just got a couple more hot topics to go through. And then when we talk about Kenya's antics, we're going to open it up if anyone wants to come in and join us for a little bit of an open forum. J-Lo and Ben are selling their marital home. And this is a beautiful house. I'm sorry, if you are in a $60 million house, unless you kidding me, I don't know what we're going to get divorced about. I'm sorry, $60 million. We ain't got to argue. I don't have to look at, we could have a trial separation in that joker. And y'all already was married before. You'd have done this before. You'd have just bought a $60 million home, renovated it, looked for it for 2 years, and now Ben done moved out and you sell it. Don't tell nobody. This is why, I've had some relationships, but I keep my things to myself. You might see a photo here, a photo there, but you don't know what my life rotates around, because when it comes to a screeching halt, I get to go through it privately and I don't have to be publicly embarrassed. $60 million embarrassed. I mean, I know them real estate agents happy. They like, shoot, we made a mint off y'all. Because now you got to buy a new divorce pay. My stars. Kelly Osbourne says she hopes her prior drug and alcohol use will prevent cancer because she said she pickled her body with formaldehyde. Kelly, it's sad that as much money as your parents had, they didn't educate you. You know nothing of biology, of how the body works, of chemistry, you know nothing of science. And it's just so sad to see someone so wealthy, but so uneducated and unintelligent and out of touch. But then again, you've been sad and uneducated and out of touch all of your life. So I shouldn't expect more from a less ass bitch. And speaking of a less ass bitch, Wayne Brady no longer fears being blackmailed since coming out. Who has the slick nudes of Wayne Brady that they was threatening to release? Wayne, who was you sending pictures to? When were you know you got a Booty Toot Stewart video out there? You thought somebody was gonna release it? Who was gonna tell your team? Also, I'm sorry, but if somebody said you were gay, really like that, I don't think that would have been a hot topic or a big shocker. I don't think that's news that would have sold National Enquirers. I don't. I really don't. But what I also don't believe is that Kelly Kilgore Ben Simone is getting married again at 56. And she is just awful. Awful. I mean, a truly horrid human being. And she's getting married again at 56. I swear, this world won't let a white woman fail. It won't. Wow. Because every time I see her on television, whoa. And somebody's going to marry that. Then again, some men are gluttons for punishment. But let me see, we got a couple more topics, but I'm going to go on and open up the line. We are going to open up the line. Exactly. She is such a weirdo. I'm like, it is a moment of how is she getting married again? But then again, we don't know what he is. We don't know what he is. He could be a weirdo too. And I feel like there are more weirdos than normal people. So that's why. Odd and odd are easier to match. The woman is truly unhinged. I don't know how it does it. And I don't know why. And speaking of unhinged, Jaguar Wright, who might be right, was arrested in Dallas for failing to return a U-Haul truck and claims it's a plan to silence her. Jaguar, no one will ever try to shut you up. No one has tried to shut you up. You do interview after interview after interview. We weren't listening because we didn't believe you. But now that we believe some of what you say, now I'm sorry, I don't know if there's a sex tape of Meg and Nikki humping on each other. I don't know about that. But you was right for a minute. You was right for some things. So I don't think nobody trying to silence you though, because no one still really believes you all the way. And speaking of disbelief, Nick Cannon has insured his testicles for $12 million. You got like 80 kids. Ain't nothing left. The sack is empty. They've gone from plums to prunes. You plan on having more? Girl, please, just freeze some sperm and call it a day. Oh, Lord. And in more Jennifer Lopez news, Meghan McCain says J-Lo was deeply unpleasant on The View. But Meghan McCain, you're deeply unpleasant. You're deeply unpleasant. I don't know, I don't know how you, as, a wart on the thumb of life, can talk about a paper cut on the index finger of life. You're both annoying and you're both sores. You're both true sores. What they screaming about? And in Coots Need to Shut Up news, Bill Maher suggests that Caitlin Clark is being attacked by WNBA rivals because she's not gay. Have you seen Caitlin Clark? Do you know what lesbians like? Women. Do you know what Caitlin Clark doesn't give you? Femininity. That's all I got. That's all I'm going to say. Girl, boom. Them women are not out there flicking their beans, covered in Caitlin Clark's coochie. Oh, my God. They are not interested in olive oil. They're not. They are not. Oh, my goodness. Like she's giving femininity. Femininity. I just spilled something. Oh my goodness. But now we have Aaron in here to discuss the hottest topic of the day. And honestly, it's giving me a little nostalgia tea. It's reminding me of the good old days when we cared about the housewives of Atlanta. And it also is going back to the days of when you would like get a play-by-play of everything going on in the preseason to get you hyped for the season. Because we would know some things, but here's what would also happen. There would be red herrings. There will always be stuff that doesn't make it to air, or when it does make it to air, it's not what we thought it would be. So I'm actually really cool with spoilers and tidbits, because it's not like it's like a 7-minute premiere of the episode. It's merely like, okay, this is what's going on. You know, we don't know when they're going to air it, how they're going to air it. So I'm actually cool.
Oh my gosh. I have so many thoughts. I almost tumbled down the stairs of my own mind. Are we in the 3rd week of filming for Atlanta now? A 4th, maybe?
I think so.
All right. So I wonder when that means we're going to actually see this episode or this season air. And the reason I say that is because this feels right now like a little bit of like Kathy Hilton, Lisa Rinna stuff, right? Like we're getting partial details, it's fleshing more out, all of that, you know, and I do think that hearing about that as early as we did was annoying. I'm not saying the same thing yet, but my question to you is, I asked you this before. Do you think this is a production leak, a cast leak, a production and cast leak, or not?
I think because, you know what? I think because it was at an event, they knew it was going to get out in some way because Kenya did it in front of people that weren't necessarily on the cast. So right. I think it could be a controlled burn by production to try to get, you know, hype for the show again, because last season was not good and we've been very disappointed with Potomac, and they just ended Martha's Vineyard. So Black Bravo is on the ropes right now. So I think they're doing this to be like, hey, come on back. We're getting ready. We're gearing up again.
We're gearing up with, oh goodness. And when I just think about what she did though, the antics, the eggplant of it all, do you know what I mean?
Well, so we found out it wasn't revenge porn. We found out it wasn't that. We found out that she is saying this, that Britt Edie is an escort and she charges $1,400 for an appointment. And she said, yo, Gotti told you to Snapchat that pussy, and you did.
Right. I heard
she said, and you did. That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. Yeah, that was funny.
I'm like, Kenya, how can you make fun of a woman whose vagina is in demand, who is getting men to pay her for the privilege when you had to pay Walter and his toupee to come on and pretend to be your man. When you had to pay Matt, who looked like a Goomba from the Mario Brothers movie with John Leguizamo, to be your man. When you got with Mark, but he didn't get with you. When you basically got a sperm donor and a divorce bill and he ran off. Like, you have had nothing but bad luck with men for 10 years. So if she chooses to peddle her pussy, that is her prerogative. Why are you clocking her pussy miles? Why do you care? You are an elder opening your own hair spa and you want to tear down sex workers? Really? Who do you think can afford to go in there and pay for your services?
Oop. Do.
It's Atlanta. How, like, the strip club is y'all's national flag. There is nothing wrong. And $1,400. I wish I was being had.
That's not bad. I'm like going, listen, I get there's premium pee, but like if you could go get it for $20 on the corner, like $1,400 anyway. Listen.
And Kenya, you can't give it away.
Oh.
Kenya, you can't give it away scot-free.
I'm trying not to break anybody's
that's
eardrum.
my thing. If you're going to talk about another woman like that, you need to have a husband.
Oh, or you need to have an actual social life. I agree with you. I'm totally done with like slut shaming any women. I'm just done with it. And like, so the thing I want to clarify back to, we heard the recording, right? And then we heard somebody in the melee be like, that's a penis. So we also saw photos of insurance fraud hoe, hoe, or something like that. Insurance fraud hoe, I think. And then a more poster board behind that with apparently explicit photos of her being very vigorous with a penis. Can we say that on the live?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I did. So the inferences based on her statement, her tweet or her Instagram post, whatever, is that she took images that apparently this woman has consented to being released in some form of like public forum and took stills of it. So she's like, you're an insurance fraud hoe. I don't know why I can't say that quickly, but I don't really call a lot of people that. But anyway, and you are also and you are an escort on top of that. You Snapchatting, yo gotti your business, and you have videos available to capture for of you showing your talent, your resume. But you know what? So the F what? She's still like I am personally tired of trying to like destroy a woman because she's a sexual creature.
Exactly. People have sex. Ain't nobody got here. Well, there's probably about 5% of us that got here.
Kenya did.
Now. But everybody else got here through raw sex. Ooh, and somebody said, now she said, now Kenya, you want to talk about hoes? Your mama was a hoe at 15 and didn't want nothing to do with you. That would break her brain. And I didn't say that. Somebody on Twitter wrote that. I just remembered it. No, somebody said that in my Instagram. Somebody said that in my Instagram. I forget who it was. Whoever it was, shout out yourself if you wrote it in my Instagram, because I was like, ooh, that was a read. But can you say horrible things about people if somebody said that up in your face?
That's the thing. We all forget Kenya will go beyond the white meat. Like Kenya goes to levels that you're like, whoa. And then, but she leaves herself open to be annihilated for her desperate antics.
Yep. 100%.
And personally, okay, so there's again, I fall down the stairs of my own mind. There's also the speculation going around. Shout out to whoever I heard this from. Sorry, that Kenya wanted to ensure that the opening of the hair salon would make the season because other things.
they didn't talk about her hair salon a lot last season.
Right. So the speculation is that maybe she pulled this insanity and it's part of the leak so that she can ensure that she gets as much publicity for her hair salon as possible. I don't know if it's open yet. People are speculating like that was a soft open. It's not open yet. It's struggling. It's another something about her. And I'm like, yeah, well, that place finally opened. So, but I would not put that past her because I mean she had poster boards apparently.
How far are you from something about her?
Where are they? They're probably like an hour.
Oh, okay, never mind.
What?
If you're ever in the area, I'd love you to check it out. But I saw the pictures. I don't know if I'd want to sentence you to a bad meal.
The only sandwich of theirs I actually even want to try is something so lame as like the BLT. But if I have to take Gemma up to LA to be with her dad, then I would take one
Yeah,
for the team.
if you're in the area and you're peckish.
Yes, but not right now because I think there's a lot of people checking it out, which I'm like, no. We don't need to wait in a line for a sandwich.
For a sandwich. And the thing is, they're not like, I can understand like they're hospitality people, so a restaurant in that sense makes sense. But I think they should have done like Jax and like Tom and Tom and opened a bar. And I think they could have opened like a girly bar, like, for ladies' nights out, lots of Instagrammable themes and stuff. I think like that would have worked for them because I don't think of food necessarily when I think of them. I think of drinks. And if you're going to do a sandwich place these days, I feel like you're going up against the Keith Lees of the world, like people that really know food. So I'm like, I look at y'all and I don't see food expertise.
I think that they should have done a bar as well because now they could literally schedule and run like a pub crawl. You could go to Tom Tom, you could go to Schwartz and Sandy's, you could go to Jax's bar, you could go to theirs. And then you have a whole night mapped out for you. You rent the bus, the driver takes you to all of them. You have a drink at each one or you have an appetizer, you do it. And hopefully somebody is there in order for you to catch them and have your evening.
That is such a fucking, like, oh my God.
Let's go get a bus. No, I'm just kidding.
we need to do like, oh my God, that is a cash cow. And that would keep all of them in business because that would be like the perfect night thing to do in LA because you wouldn't have to worry about parking, about Ubers. It would be, and that would be like a perfect 2 hours, 45 minutes at each. Yeah, they missed out. Because then 4 would be the perfect amount, and it's like one of them, and then on the nights they do it, they'd be like, okay, one of you from the show, show up at this one, say hey, take pictures, and that'll be, and like they'll get a fee from that because that would be part of what they would. Oh my God.
I mean, they're doing that anyway. They just don't, and they have started like Tom and Jax, and I know Tom Schwartz and Jax at the very least. Sandoval might be involved, but the Tom and Jax did a tour where you go hang out with them. I think even on the bus. I think it was like $250 or something kind of crazy where you're like, I'm paying this much for what? You know what I mean? But
it's the interaction fee.
Oh, 100. Yeah.
And that I feel like, honestly, I would say for what you pay for BravoCon tickets, that's for the what? Like they spend like an hour and a half with you and you drink and eat?
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't see the details of it because you couldn't pay me to be entertained by Jax. If I went somewhere and he happened to be there, I would, spy on him. But that's about it.
Did I see him? I wish I had gotten to see Sandoval. I
don't think you did because I don't think the Valley cast was invited to the last BravoCon. I don't think it had been announced. And Jax was persona non grata because they dropped him like a hot potato during the Black Lives Matter movement. They were like, the pandemic and all of it. They're like, they haven't found anything that you've done yet, but you are about to blow us up.
They had to be filming the Valley when BravoCon was going on, because they were filming that last summer.
Yeah, right after Scandival. They said, okay, Scandival made it worth our while to take you up on your offer, Jack.
Okay. Yeah, Kenya said an appointment would cost $1,400. I'm sorry, that's a good rate for me.
I mean,
I'm sorry, because a whole bunch of men will leave you with nothing but a headache.
And an STI.
For real.
I mean,
these men out here ain't shit. So $1,400 seems like a good starting rate. This woman has common sense. And again, men that are willing to pay Kenya more, can you say the same?
You want to pay them.
Shame, you got to be able to say the same. You can't slut shame when nobody wants you. You can't slut shame when you can't keep a man to save your life. You can't keep a man. You can't slut shame when you have to pay to be a wife.
Well, let me ask this. We have typically seen a lot of slut shaming within the franchise in general. I mean, you know, when someone has a sex work past, people feel very comfortable kind of either exploiting or shaming that person, right? Because it's somehow like your gold digging was done in a way that wasn't classy. So therefore, you know, we can look at you that way. Do you think that you want some element of that to remain in order to keep it from being flooded with all kinds of kind of ladies, or do you think it's time to acknowledge that, you know, everybody's just doing the best they can with what they've got? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I think we should say everybody does the best with what they have.
Right.
Nene was a stripper.
Right. One of the best of our one of the best of the franchise.
Yep.
It's undeniable. No matter how you feel about her now, Nene Leakes literally is on the Rushmore of it. You got to put her on there.
I mean, Bethany was topless in movies, and Ramona wanted to do that. But Ramona, no one wants to see you topless, especially your ex-husband.
Oh, mention it all. That was one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite moments of Bethany, where she put her little spider legs up, and she said, "Mention it all. You can't slut shame me, Ramomo."
Especially when no one wants you.
Nope. Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, who else did they do that to? Anyway, yeah, I just feel like this time around, to be honest with you, I don't know, maybe it just doesn't feel couth. It's like, Kenya, like,
you're too old.
It's just gross now.
And also maturity is a part of it. There are things that you can do at 38 when you first get on the show and you're unpolished that you can't do 10 years in. Kenya, and this is why I think we're seeing Kenya and Portia get along, and we'll get to that in a minute. But now that Candy is off the show, you know, Kenya and Portia, you are the two OGs. You are now matriarch. Really, and Kenya, because Portia just coming back. Kenya, you are now the matriarch of the show. Now it rests on your maturity. And for a minute, Nene was able to hold on to that spot. And then they had to hand it over to Candy. And Candy was a good matriarch of the show, because these shows, you need a matriarch for it to work. I feel like that's the one thing that Potomac got right. And Karen definitely takes that position in high regard. But this is not matriarch of the show behavior. Like, Kenya, you are at a point now, you're opening salons, your acting career struggled, but you really made something of yourself as a housewife. You've got a national hair care line. There's a level where you are above that now. And we want to see you. And this is why we love Karen Huger so much. Karen will read and will really, like, Karen will snap back when she really has to snap back, when you've been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. Giselle's the only one that can really warrant that. And we're like, okay, Giselle, you had it coming. And we watched Karen be quiet. We watched her put up with it. That's why we're not mad when Karen gets at Giselle, but Karen doesn't do that all the time. Kenya, you always snap, crackle, popping. You're too old. We want to see growth. We want to see maturity. We want to see you step into the matriarch of the show position. And you're not. This is still the same Kenya we got on season 6, desperate, lonely. And it's like, you're not that same person anymore. You've achieved so much more. You have a beautiful child now. There's a level of inner peace and joy that we should see. And us not seeing it makes us feel that you're ungrateful. And that turns us off as an audience.
And also, too, if you did exploit that fellow castmate's sexual history in order to ensure that your business opening made it on the season, how sad, because like I wouldn't want my business opening to be associated with slut shaming a fellow castmate.
And it's a woman's spa. It's a women's hair spa. And so you're going to have, and it's Atlanta, yes. You're going to have strippers coming up and through.
And it's just a women's spa. And you're totally slut shaming a woman. Someone that like you've signed up to interact with. Somebody that you kind of agreed with. That's why I also wonder too, like where the line is, because it's like, if I've agreed to do a reality show with you, that like maybe that's like my coworker. To literally, what did this woman do to Kenya to warrant like explicit photos on poster board at her hair salon opening?
Exactly, and it's something that you would expect from Kenya. I would say pre-Brooklyn. Like she was the villain of the show pre-Brooklyn. I feel like now that we need to see an elevated Kenya. We need to see something more. Kenya more. We want to see something more. Like, yes, we know you can create a show by creating some drama and being nasty. But if that's all you have to offer, you're a sorry one-trick pony.
You know,
and you've been on this show for 10 years. They started shooting this. You started season 6 in 2012. It came out 2013. It is 2024, and you were filming season 16. That will air until 2025.
Yeah, I don't want to jump the gun, but this is very unhealed behavior. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, hi, everybody. Unhealed.
I love that.
Right? How much I have not evolved. How much, like, no matter what I've been through and what I've achieved now. And doesn't she looked beautiful? You have to give her that.
Like, yes, she did. And it was nice to see Portia and her getting along.
At that opening.
Oh my God. Speaking of unhealed and how we have grown. This morning, I had a wild hair up my bum. And I rewatched Portia's fight from Portia Family Matters.
Oh
my God. I rewatched that and I'm like, I now understand why you quit all of your jobs and went into Instagram hiding. Because that fight where you picked up the boom mic and were trying to hit Dennis and his mom, that we need to bring up a little more often. And I think that also shows how desperate Bravo is, because I think Bravo might have been done with her. Then they brought her back for Girls Trip and she didn't hit anybody that time. But I'm going to be doing a deep dive video on the rage of Portia Williams, because that is also something that it's like, now, girl, is anger management going to be part of your plot line? It was before. Maybe you should do it again and it'll take this time, because that was scary.
She does not care that she put Simon and his kids out of that house. She said, I'm filming here. You need to get out.
I will also say the look on Simon's face when he was holding Portia, it looked like the marriage was done in that moment.
Wait, in which picture? Wait, what?
So when I was rewatching the fight.
Oh, got it.
Simon, and that fight went on for like a good 4 minutes. And Simon was holding Portia. They're like, let me go! And you're like, no, I'm keeping you from prison. And the looks on his face. I think that's when he clocked out. I think that's when the bloom became off the rose, because he was like, oh, she's going to do this in public on camera. And I think that is also, I'm sure the marriage to, Fallon's husband was a big part of why she said, okay, I'm not going to come back next season because they're going to rip me to shreds. But also that fight, I think that fight, she was like, I don't want Bravo to air that clip every time they show me, because I'm going to air that clip every time I mention Portia. I'm going to have a little picture of her with the boom mic. Because I want us to remember Portia for that. We're going to bring in Liam.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Liam.
So, in this economy, $1,400 for pussy. What are your thoughts? Since Kenya wants to say, oh, she's a cheap hoe, I don't know, because $1,400 American would probably about 1,274 pounds.
It's about 1175.
Okay, I was almost there.
Yeah. You were very close. I think she's trifling. I think she's back on the wrong tree. And also, do people really want that?
That is a great, and I love that, and I love your that's really, that is what I'm saying.
I mean,
we want Kenya. I think that Kenya is a fan favorite. Kenya is a star, but I love that you asked that. It's not what we want Kenya to argue.
Yeah,
but it's not what we want. And also, and I can say this, if I and I pick these women apart all the time. Have I ever made fun of Nene stripping?
No, but we had to ask the age-old question: who was encouraging this?
You are correct, because I am wondering what happened.
Shout out to Chris. Shout out to C. Diggy.
I'm sorry.
Here's the first one to say, who is it? I never want people to forget where that came from. It came from Chris. Who's encouraging this?
It's the who, the why, the what, and the where.
And the encouragement.
Yes. I mean, Kenya Moore, I have to say this, but Kenya Moore is the axolotl of housewives. Uninvolved and uninteresting.
It's and watching season 6, having just recently wrapped up watching season 6, it's stunning to see, really, and I'm going to say this too, the lack of growth from both Kenya and Portia. And they may not get along or haven't gotten along in the past because they are two peas in a proverbial pod. It is amazing, truly amazing, that Portia married Cordelia Stewart, and they were married for, about 18 months. Mm-hmm. And then she married Florida Evans, and they were married for about 18 months. So I feel like, Portia went in on Kenya and always said, you don't know what it is to be a wife, the life of a wife. You can't stay a wife. You can't even get past the trial period. They drop your ass off before that marriage is vested.
Well, she treats marriages as rental cards.
Them men put you out. And And again, this is the second time Simon said, you can't, child, it was Simon says, you can't film in this house. And the truth is, I don't want the Housewives of Atlanta filming there because Baby Love don't live there anymore. You're not getting that house in the divorce because you were married for 15 minutes.
Yes. Portia treats marriages like enterprise rental car. And they're all leases. This face.
That was delicious. That was a crumpet. That was a crisp crumpet with a spot of tea, orange tea, with a little honey in it. Thank you. Oh my God. Because you ain't lied. 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 Our walls are the same color.
I know. I'm redecorating soon, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, but our walls are the same color. It's funny.
No. Well, Magnolia is a classic.
I mean, I did. Actually, mine are gray.
Well, they're not Magnolia on camera.
What?
They look like a cream on color. They
do, but actually, yeah, in real life, this is white, and this looks more cream, and this is a light gray.
Oh,
it is crazy how, like, when you live, like, because I've been doing this for so long, I say I live my life on camera, and it's just you learn like the subtle difference between life on camera.
You know something different, like Luann's hairline.
Oh.
I saw Luann in real life at the Palace of Fine Arts here. I went to her cabaret.
That's right. What'd you think?
It was a fun time. I would say go. I would tell anybody, if you just want to have a fun night, like it's definitely go with a friend. Even if you don't go with a friend, you will make some friends there because everybody's into Housewives. We're all reciting the bullshit. We're all like, receipts, timeline. So if you want to reenact a Housewives scene, that is the place to go because everybody's like, oh, please, I'm totally on board. It's like a mini BravoCon.
Yeah.
The band is good. The music was good. The singing.
Oh.
Were you close enough? How was the hairline?
She looked good. No, she looked good. She looked good. And I will say she did not hit all the notes, but she wasn't supposed to.
No, she's not.
And that's the thing. It's like, was the singing great? No, but it was perfect because we all sang along. And she was funny. She was charismatic. She was entertaining. And she was there to give us her all. And that's exactly what she did. And I would go again. Like, it's really just like, we can just get together and have a good time. Like, I wish it was more. I would love to see her at a festival where you could really like shimmy and have a larger drink.
I have a devil's advocate question about Kenya. What do you think this new person could have potentially done something really egregious to try and make a splash, to try and challenge the alpha, done something of her own to poke the bear towards Kenya?
Well,
is there a universe where we look back and go, oh, that's why she blamed you?
I would say this, because of the law of averages, I will say that is possible. But because of Kenya's track record for always doing too much, going over the line, Bronx, why are you sneezing? Because of that, I feel like a small, and you know what else? I feel like even if it was, I would say a mid-slight, I feel like at this point in your Housewives career, it's time to take the high road. Now, I'll give Nene this. Nene would take the high road sometimes and be like, I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not going to give you a moment. I'm not going to give you a scene. I'm not going to feed into that. And I think it's time we get some of that from Kenya, where it's not so easy to ruffle her feathers. We've got Mel NYC Reviews. Hello, Mel.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. What are your thoughts on Aaron's question?
On Aaron's question. Oh my gosh.
Do you
I came
think
in
that
with
there's a world where we will look back and say, okay, Kenya deserved to give this girl what she had coming because she poked the bear with Kenya. And you can't come on this show not knowing Kenya is the bear. Nene was the moose. Kenya is the bear.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say this is the first time I called into your show, and I've watched from the replay for a long time. I love your commentary, and I hope in the future you'll be able to do these live streams maybe 5 hours later. So because I won't be able to stay too long, and I really do enjoy your channel. You know what? I don't believe in Kenya's bear. I really don't. I think it's just all in her mind. I believe that for me, she was eaten up alive when she first got to that series. So ever since then, we kind of noticed her sort of have this knee-jerk reaction where she has to be the bully in all those situations. When it came to the cookie lady and all this other stuff, she sort of made the strike first because she doesn't like to be under attack. I think in her mind, at first, I think she's very sensitive. And hey, listen, I'm not trying to read the lady, but because of her mother's rejection and the other woman's rejection, she goes like nuclear. She goes out of her mind. And I think for me, you know what? She needs to really maybe work with a really strong therapist in Atlanta because, she can't be exploding on these women all the time. Every time a person say they don't like her hair, her color, or her toenails, she want to expose people's secrets. Now, the simple fact is she was the one that was in the car in the backwoods with Mr. whatever that man was that had her all flexible in that car. Now, she's also been out there. Now, what if he come up here with receipts say, I got her when she was sleeping, when she was, who knows what kind of receipts Matt got. So Kenya don't need to be out here playing with people's past because she has a past too. So I think that for me, you know what, she does a little too much for me. Now the thing is, when she first got there, I loved Kenya to a point where I was on Twitter saying, Kenya, why didn't you say it's a Phaedra? And she and I DM'd each other because she wanted me to kind of give a little how to read a little bit. She tried to, because me, Brandon, and her, we were communicating. I hope you did years ago. Absolutely. When I got you know what? I tried. I got my Liz, you know what? I'm gonna have fun. You got to call. You got to have these shows a little 5 hours late because I would come in with you all the time. I love your commentary. But yeah, so this is on the Twitter when I had the Twitter at that time, and I was doing stuff on the Twitter, and I said, "Why did you didn't say this?" And she had DM'd me, and we were supposed to do the email and stuff about that. The reunion was already at the time. I think it was the second reunion or something. I was trying to help her, but that's how much I love Kenya. Now she's a lost cause in my eyes. The simple fact is she needs to stop all this. Ain't nothing in the world that would have her try to take down another sister. I can't see it. She's only been in for 3 weeks. Like, what could she have said that would have got her to go so nuclear on this stranger? She's basically a stranger.
Yes.
So I it's not really mathing. So that's just what it also, I think it was a stunt too. Not a stunt that Todd set up, but a stunt that Kenya set up, because some of the fact is she was so mad last year they didn't feature her salon. So now she made a scandal at the salon. So now we're going to have to see that place that people said they can't get reservations for. People have been trying to get in for a long time, having a lot of problems, giving reviews on places, and so
I gotta speak on something else. I am mother trucking tired of these heifers in Atlanta that can't get their businesses together. It's one thing if you are before season 5, because before season 5, you don't have the capital. You are like every other regular person trying to get their business together. But I will say, as someone who has lived in New York and San Francisco, I have seen my fair share of businesses open and close. Now, there's one here right now that's really, really fucking it up. It's the Stud SF. I'm sorry, but I gotta call it like I see it. Don't nobody ever know when the F you open. When the fuck is the Stud open? The Stud was a gay bar here that was like a San Francisco institution, and a collective of the LGBT bought the name, got a new space there, and it was cute. I went once when I figured out when it was open, but it's like y'all need to go on and open and get that patio open, and it needs to be one clean, smooth open.
Right.
Most businesses that I've seen, again, New York and SF, so I've seen a shit ton. It is a clean open. You might do one soft opening. I remember when the restaurant downstairs from me had a soft opening, and then a week later, they were open. Like, you don't do the soft opening until you're pretty much ready to open, and you're waiting for a permit or a little bit of paperwork. Kenya, like, I'm sorry, you are a veteran of this. You came in when Housewives was already an established brand. You came in season 5. You have been on till season 6. This is season 16. Honestly, season 15, you should have had your shit up and running. And because I wonder this though. Now I do wonder this. Now this is the Bethany clause. Because Kenya Moore came on season 5 and Skinny Girl hadn't become what Skinny Girl is, Kenya might not be subject to the Bethany clause. What the Bethany clause is this is why we haven't seen a super successful business on Housewives since Candy Burris and since Bethany Frankel. Now, when you launch a business on Bravo or you mention it, and this is why Crystal never talked about her water company on Bravo, like mentioned it briefly in passing and never spoke again, is because Bravo takes an insane amount of money if you promote your product on their show.
Exactly.
Like, they take, I've heard 20%, I've heard 40%. And it's an ongoing thing, like even when you're off the show.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard 40%. I've heard like that. It's like cray.
Well, that could be true. I was going to say, and I had to drop down, unfortunately, because I can't stay too long. But I was going to say, I want to also say, because I had an issue before when I was talking, people say T. I want to say this is all my opinion. It's all alleged, but this is my truth. But it's opinion, because I had said this one time in Beverly Hills, and some lady over there didn't like what I said, so I had a little problem. So I want to definitely just say it's my opinion. But I want to say this too. I think that I'm so tired of these gimmicks. I think that for me, when I first got into the Housewives shows, what they used to do was they had, whenever they ran a business together, because you brought up business or charities, those were the best seasons because they were able to be shady in their confessionals. I like when they worked together.
Oh, like when Heavenly and Lisa Nicole Cloud were doing that women's empowerment.
Absolutely. Or even when the girls in New York City, whenever they did a charity together, or anytime the ladies have to work together, they're going to struggle together. Then they also want to give, confessionals that's a little messy. Also, this is a Housewives show. I would love to see the ladies either being honest about their love, looking for love, or being honest about a heartbreak. I need to be honest about the stage of love that they're in. So if they just come up there just sort of being mean to each other, that's not what I'm signed up for. I signed up to see women, very educated, beautiful women, talk about their love lives, about their husbands, about their boyfriends, or about their ex-husband. And I think that for me, we don't always get there in these shows. A lot of that part has been hidden on a lot of these shows. The ladies, they date, and that's what we see. We don't really see much about that. So I would love to see them do business together. I love to see them talk about their love lives a little bit more. And then again, so when that happens, then when the ladies become shady, that's when real conflict may come up, where you might want to get a little loud, a little elevated. But when you're just coming in for 3 weeks and you're just doing stunts to sort of promote your business, that, like you said, that was a lot of hard to get up. It becomes like noise for me, because that's all they do. That's the issue they had in Potomac. A lot of that kind of craziness, it doesn't seem real anymore. So I just think that Kenya, if it's the way that the reports say it is, I will be definitely disappointed in her again. I liked her at the beginning, very much so, very much. But I think this is just a cookie lady 2.0 again. Her trying to expose somebody. So I just hope that this woman that was exposed don't run the way that Tanya ran when she got chased up the show. I hope that this lady stays and fight, and not fight physically, but with her words. I hope.
I don't think Tanya ran. I think Tanya said there's no money in that. I think Tanya, if Tanya was in a different position in life, I don't think Tanya would have ran. But I think Tanya was like, oh, this is not for me. I came on this show to have fun and maybe be a little shady and talk about somebody's style. But you're going to try to like attack my relationship, and whether or not that cookie lady had an affair with that man or not, and they had dealt with it or not, that was so low and so foul of Kenya, where she was like, I don't want to be around nobody like that. And two, I feel like one, Tanya is a nurse. Nurses are some of the most evil women on the face of the planet. Do not piss off a nurse. You will end up dead. Do not.
Because when the Bolo thing happened, and there was some, whether or not it was bisexual, it was a lot of information that Kenya was trying to say about that lady, and then the next thing you know, she was gone. It was like, well, what happened? The scandal, that moment happened with the stripper, or did it happen or didn't happen? Don't know. But when she kept pushing it towards Tanya and Portia and all the ladies, or whatever they were there, then she was gone. I don't think she even made it to a reunion that year after that.
That was no, that was Toya, and she did pop up at the reunion. She was there via video.
What? Wait, so wasn't the Canadian lady also?
Tanya didn't show up at the reunion, and I think Tanya walked away because she's like, no, I will really mess Kenya up. Like, Tanya is one of those, she's not about that talk, she's about that action, but she ain't gonna let you know.
Yeah.
But I can tell by her Chanel that is not the woman to play.
Okay.
Tanya's not really
by her Chanel. And the fact that she got out her space so quickly, she is one that will really, like, she will take it there, and she's like, rather than kill this woman and possibly end up in prison, I'm just gonna walk away.
Okay.
I think that's exactly what Tanya did. I'm sorry. I can tell by the way she does her hair. I can tell by, like, she reminds me a lot of someone I know very close, very personal. And I know it's like when she gets real pissed off, she's like, I'm going to get away because I'm really going to hurt you. And I'm scared of what I'm going to do. So she walked away. I truly believe that about Tanya. I think she would have fucked Kenya up because you don't mess with certain people's relationships.
That's what Kenya does. So we shall see if this new lady has that, as you said, this energy or whatever. But yeah, I mean, but you know what? I'm gonna have to drop down. But it was really good calling in on this time, and
I will do a live for you later. And hit me up on Instagram or email or something so we can schedule a live to do together because you got the tea.
Well, thank you for your opinion. Whether that's all it is, you know what I mean? Like, we appreciate you sharing it.
Thank you both and everybody so much, because I'm just going to say this before I drop down. I've called into shows for a long time, and I was talking about Beverly Hills, and I was just going up there having a good time, and then the people at Beverly Hills heard me, and they were not very, very, happy about it. So I was like,
fuck those bitches.
Well, listen. You know what? So what had happened after that? You know what I've done? I said, okay, this is my opinion. This is all. That's what I tried.
Yes.
It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing, big thing. But I said, you know what?
I was at BravoCon and pissed off Kyle Richards to her face.
Sure did.
When I said, why do you keep thrusting Teddy Mellencamp upon these women when they clearly don't like her? I'd just like to know why you want to make fetch happen. And then the audience's applause.
Then got a feature at the reunion.
What?
And then got a feature at the reunion as well.
A feature at the reunion. And Kyle looked in that camera and said, someone was at BravoCon and they were very rude about Teddy. And then they played the clip, and it's like, okay, so where's the very rude? Because white woman, if you gonna inflict your tears, because you was tearing up, heifer, you was doing the white woman tears. I'ma call it like I see it, and we can roll tape.
And also,
you had the tear in your eye. I was very rude about Ted. No, I wasn't.
It wasn't rude. It was the universe giving her the crimson chin that was rude.
Come on now. So we definitely should talk about Beverly Hills, because I had to look at that up, because that was the season. I was like, oh my God, I was just talking about the lady who's not there anymore. But yeah, they were not happy at that moment. But anyway, but I will reach out, and I'm sending good vibes to everybody on the panel, in the chat. This was wonderful. I'm glad I got a chance to slip in real quick. I dropped down, but I will be back, definitely. Thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your day.
And anyone else, if you'd like to shimmy on in the room and give us an opinion on this new Kenya drama, feel free. Honestly, there's also a level of joy in me because things are feeling like old times with Bravo again. Thank God you had pants on, Liam. Thank God. Because that is one of my greatest fears. Because I have flashed the camera way back when I first started the channel. Before we had screen grabs and everything, I accidentally flashed the camera. And so now I have that terrifying fear. completely, because you put your shirt on, you're at home, you forget you don't have on pants.
Sorry, because I just want to just bring up the fact that when Kenya went off on this new heifer, I just wish that Britt, or whatever her name is, just paced herself and let Kenya have it slowly, because we've seen people who pace themselves and go for the big dogs on over franchises. But if she just went straight for the immediate, right at the word go.
Well, yeah, now there's some kind of, we haven't even talked about that another piece of this is they're saying that Britt said, this is what I have my GUN for. And
Now, if she said that, that's going way too far. But speaking of going way too far, I have a question for the both of you. Now, imagine if I knew one of the housewives.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been accused of this before, and I was quite upset because I didn't do it, nor did I have the money to show for it. But people told me, especially when Claudia was on the show, because people think that me and Claudia are closer than we are. Claudia and I are colleagues. She respects me. She thinks I'm funny. She's tried to help me get jobs before. Well, she's tried to help me get jobs before, so I'll say we're more than cordial because she's tried to help me eat. So that's more than cordial. But we ain't always on the phone, and especially way back when she was on the show. But I'm just saying this to say the rumor going around Twitter was that I was writing Claudia's reads. There were rumors going around, and people would ask me, "Oh, did you write that read?" No, I did not.
A little bit of nepotism going on.
For anybody on the Housewives. Now, did they watch my videos and maybe pick up something from me? Well, possibly. I would say I didn't think so, but some people have said stuff, and I'm like, it is possible. I do review their show, and they probably watch people that talk about their show. So it's feasible. It's feasible. But I never wrote for them. However, if I wrote for Britt, I would refer to Kenya as Motherless Kenya. Would that be going too far to if I was going to suggest something to Britt? I would say, well, every time you see Kenya, refer to her. Oh, well, and should we invite Motherless Kenya? Are we going to bring Motherless Kenya? Oh, hey, Motherless, how are you? I would just call her Motherless every chance I got. Because that's a wound that I didn't start, but I'll certainly help fester. Since you want to be cruel to me, I'll hit you where you live.
Yeah, you want to make a poster of me doing tonsil hockey.
I would also say, I want to know what classes you're taking to be a good mother since you didn't have one.
Or just say that.
No, you see, now hold on. Now, everybody, hold on. Don't call me evil. Don't call me evil. Because as a comedian, as a roaster, this is what we do. And so for me, this would be sport if I was writing for someone.
Well, she went below the belt, literally. So she's calling forth the winds from Hades. You know what I mean?
And also, you don't have to bring in the motherless part of it too. You can just say, well, I don't take advice from someone whose corns are more relevant than a plot line.
You know what else we could call her? Nebraska, for her cornfields.
Oh my god.
Well, I was gonna say Big Sur because her corns are now looking like tree stumps.
Oh! Not a California read.
Oh man, not the giant redwoods.
Oh, I still have not seen those, and I have to make a trip.
You do. Since you're there, you do.
I was going to say, I'm glad I've gotten to go to Land's End and the Sutro Baths. Although, honestly, that's another thing. If San Francisco wants to, revamp itself, rebuild the Sutro Baths. That was the biggest fresh pool in the world. And if they brought that back, that would boost tour. That would actually be really cool. And also because then people could swim at that damn ocean because it's so freaking cold. Bring back the Sutro baths and charge all the tech companies. They got billions lying around. Apple should pay for it. Charge Apple. It's Apple's fault that we're in this mess. Charge Apple. Charge Apple. I'm sorry for that little segue, but
no, please. We appreciate the segues. But then again, back to Kenya, we could also take stock at her business and like it's giving you Shiba Shiratis.
No, because it actually exists. I'm sorry. The Kenya Moore hair spa, we heard about it for like what, the past 3 years? Maybe people can't get in, but it is open.
Wait a minute. Is it open if you can't get in?
Exactly,
Okay,
Erin.
all right. Oh, I got red on my own show. Is it open if you can't get in? You are correct.
When God says yes,
I was trying to get too much credit. Look at me being nice to Kenya. See what happens when you be nice to Kenya? You end up getting red.
But also, you've got to be nice to Kenya. Just book her a doctor's appointment.
Oh my God. You're right. If you can't get in, and that's what I was saying. It's like you shouldn't even bring it up until like you already kind of like you have enough of a social media presence to do a soft opening without Bravo.
Whatever.
What percentage of, but because she signed early enough, she might be immune to the Bethany clause.
Didn't Bethany Frankel did a soft opening post-season for Skinny Girl?
No, because Skinny Girl is not it's not a store. Skinny Girl is a brand, it's a product. So she launched a brand post-season. But then they were going to pick it up on the next season. Like
I was gonna say, I think it's like a little different because it was like mid-season, and she also literally like had her spin-offs too, as it was like still, which were nothing but promotions for that. She even had a sale on there.
Yeah. So yeah, it was Bravo was done differently, and what it was is she launched, like you said, Erin, she launched her brand mid-season, like it was the soft launch mid-season. So that way, off season, it could start sales. I mean, but it wasn't a place that you could go to like Kenya's Salon. It was products that like you could order, kind of like Uber hot sauce.
Because I think she even had Skinny Girl cookies when she first went on. Remember, she was selling them at the grocery store. So the Skinny Girl brand she brought with her after she wrote that book, which she had written previous. But I will say this, maybe this like kind of goes above one step above what we're even talking about. There are certain housewives that hit a point in their career, their trajectory on the show where they need to like show us they're successful at something. Like Robin Dixon, like
I was gonna say Robin Dixon.
Yeah, to where it's part of your story arc that you need to actually bring something to fruition. You actually need to make it work.
I have to defend Rob the Throb. One, I think those caps did better than we thought. But two, Rob and Giselle's outside success of Housewives is their podcast. And as someone who's done episodes on it, I've reviewed several, even more than several. I can see where their podcast has a market. I can see where and why people enjoy it. And I will also say, and I have to give them credit to this, they were intelligent enough to make the show in conjunction with Potomac. Like they talk about it a little bit, but you don't listen for Potomac tea, which means it's something they can continue doing when they kick Giselle off in a season or two.
I see Giselle getting the boot at the end of next season anyway. I mean,
I think she acted right, and I think her making friends with Wendy this season, and let's talk about that segue into that. we saw Wendy's 40th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, with Giselle wedged up against her.
And her and Giselle seem to be in a good place. And some of that is definitely like mea culpa, so she doesn't look colorist. Let's go on and
Not mea
call it
culpa.
a thing. Like that, like, you're like, okay, I have to shift the image. And I think some of it is also, you realize, when they got rid of Rob the Throb, and when Candace walked off, I think Giselle realizes I need to become a lot more like Karen and become the matriarch of this show, or put myself in that position and, let the newer girls have the harsher arguments because they don't know each other. And I need to throw lighter shade and, be more about etiquette, be more about fashion. Like, also, I would say if I went on one of these shows and, and let's say I was on a house husband show with all men. So that way, there's no, you're picking on women. I like how I would be evil to the other men. I would just pick apart what they wear, not how they look.
Well, she can't do that.
But what they wear.
She
Because
can't.
we all are
Giselle?
so- I would be dressed. You would call me ranch because I would be dressing.
Well,
And I would pick apart each week's seam. I would just walk up. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say this was an off the rack affair. Or one of my favorites. Oh, Jesus, Issey Miyake in my house? Issey Miyake in my house. And my confessional. Or Issey Miyake in my house. I'd rather you just burn a cross in my lawn than wear Issey Miyake in my house. This is a house of fashion, a house of taste. I have Ralph Lauren paint, and you wore Issey Miyake in my house. You see how fun it's like I get to be angry, I get to give you emotion, I get to be crazy unhinged, but it's also something funny and silly that we can make up about. Where I can say, like, look, the party was themed polo chic, and you wore Issey Miyake to throw off my theme, to throw off my pictures. I hired a photographer. I wanted to remember us as stylish. If you wanted an Issey Miyake event, you could have thrown one. I paid $57,000 for the cake. You see how I can do it?
Yes.
And that was also a takeoff Heather Dubrow. With the what she paid for her party and how she got everybody out the house. And what was it, the last season of OC?
I was wondering. I'm like, where's he pulling? It was like,
Aaron got it.
I was sitting there going,
oh, you're so right.
I was like, this is turned. This is turned. I mean, I know he's bougie, but this has turned into a performance.
I know he's bougie.
And, yeah. And I just sat there going, like, blinking for a minute, and thank you, because I was like, where, like, I was like feeling in the dark. It was right there.
You were like, this is familiar. You're like,
yes.
You're like, it smelled like, I know there's a different spice. There's some extra cinnamon in here, but yeah. Alex would turn into Electra's Abundance so fast. And it would be fun. And I would say if I was on a reality show like this, it would be like I would go off on things like that where I would be angry, but it would be the beauty of the ridiculousness of it, where you could have a laugh, where you would laugh at me / with me.
And that's what you got to keep in mind, because it doesn't feel like back to where we were at, that is what's happening with something like that, with Kenya's antics. Like, I don't want to go to an event hoping that, like, I'm not traumatized by, like, somebody's innards or something. You know what I mean? Like, woo!
Oh, not innards.
I'm just saying, where's the bar gonna drop to now? You know?
And I think we need, like, I remember when these shows started and it was about etiquette and clothing. And I feel like that is what we need to get back to. Make fun of what someone has on, especially rich. And again, hold on, let me preface. We're talking about rich people on reality shows. We're not talking about regular people, just so everybody's clear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want nobody trying to take a sound bite. But on these shows, let's get back to making fun of what you're wearing, where you host a party, how you host a party. Now, I'll say Teresa making fun of Melissa bringing them cheap-ass cookies.
Yeah.
That was funny. That's the
Friendship
type of
cookies.
shade that you throw. And that is old grandmother shade, because I will never forget my grandmother.
We need to
brought me
get back to the fashion police days where we used to make fun of people.
Liam, hold on. My grandmother brought me to a party when I was about 10. And the cake was store-bought. And she looked at the cake. And she looked at the mother. And that mother withered. And she just said, my grandmother just said, "That's what you're serving?" With a face as dry and expressionless as a knee. "That's what you're serving?" And then she looked at me and she said, "Do you want to go home? I can make you a cake." In front of them! Ramona did not give a fuck. Ramona didn't give a fuck or a shit. Ramona had it. She didn't feel like driving me over there, no way. And she was like, "Look, I will." And she was about to say, "I'll take you to McDonald's, so I got to come back and pick your ass up." But it was my friend that was like, "No, I want the cake." I could tell something was wrong. And even little me was like, "Let me try to patch this up." And so I ran and I hugged the mom and I thanked her for inviting me. And after my grandmom left, I said, "My grandmom doesn't like store-bought cakes, but I do. I do." And really, because they had good store-bought cakes back then. Grandma was missing out. But she, the only year I had a store-bought cake was the year her mother died. When I was 8, my great-grandmother died the day before my birthday. She died December 28th. And that was the only year I had a store-bought cake. And she had made me a fresh cake by January 1st.
Oh.
Actually, that was the year of cake and pie, because she kept a pie in the oven that year.
Mm.
That was dynasty. It wasn't shade, honey. She looked at her and said, "That what you serving?"
It was old lady disappointment shade.
I'll never forget it.
It's the shade where old church ladies will have where they're disappointed in someone.
I swear for God. But that's where Kenya should be.
Yes.
Kenya should be at the point where she's giving the "that's what you're serving" kind of shade, rather than "you're a hoe." If you are 53, 54 years old, talking about some woman is a hoe, you're in menopause. You are in menopause. You should not be worrying about a coochie 30 years younger than you.
Mm.
If she wants to hoe, let her hoe. It's not your pussy. It's not your prerogative. Stay out of it. Do you want to eat it? Do you want an appointment? It sounds like you do. You know the price. You've clearly been to her ad.
Mm.
Maybe you do better with a woman.
And I think
men don't want you and sure don't need you.
As we were talking, we need to get back to the old reading the fashions phase of the housewives. Do you remember the show Fashion Police on E with Joan Rivers?
Do I remember Fashion Police?
Yeah, on E with Joan Rivers.
Yes.
That's where we need to get back to. We need to get back to how we used to go in on what people look like.
Well, we could have read Nene into a decent hairstyle if we had done that. Because the way I would have talked about those Frederick Douglass units, those freedom fighter units, those great debater units, that 1960 ass hair. I want to know why you want to look like Etta James when she didn't have a good black hairdresser. That's what I want to know.
I was going to say Andy Warhol, but Yours was good too.
I'm not gonna lie, I did get a screenshot of you and Chris in the wigs.
Oh, when we were repping Fenty Beauty, I'm
Yes,
sorry,
we did.
Fenty Hair.
Yes,
Rihanna needs to send us the wigs. And the fact that she then posted a picture of her getting that wig washed.
that was so
that
in
was
the hole.
foolishness. That was foolishness of the highest degree, but I loved it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. Alex, you're right, Alex. Kenya's on menopause. But I'm sorry, at 41, I am not criticizing what the under 25 set is doing. I am not concerning myself with what the teens are doing. They're saying Riz and Skibbity Bop Toilet. I don't know what these things mean, but I'm like, go, be young, do what you do, like I did when I was young.
Yeah, she hasn't aged gracefully.
It's about maturing and letting the young generation do them, and you focusing on you. You should be so wrapped up in, honestly, Kenya, you should be leaning into your mommy brand, into your single mommy brand, into your rich mommy brand, into your hair brand, where you're not worrying whether Brittany Edie is selling pussy or not, because you should be wrapped up in your own life at 54.
That's the part where I can be with you. I don't want to see you do this to other women, Kenya. I want to see you succeed finally as a strong woman. With you've got your daughter. That's the purest love of all. You know what I mean? Like, have your era of like boss lady with your hair care line going national even more. You know, like. Is that even possible? As I say that, I was like, oh.
Actually, no, you're absolutely right. It can go national more, because now that she has this hair salon in Atlanta, women from all over the literal world, because now it's on Hey You, it's on, all these streamers overseas.
Did she get the Walmart deal?
I don't know if we don't have Walmart up here.
Oh, regardless, what I meant is I don't know if she has the emotional maturity. Do you know what I mean? Because that's kind of what we're talking about, is that every time she's on a trajectory where we're like, oh, maybe she's getting it together and she's gonna win, then she does something on the show, the antics portion, where you're like, you just declared war.
Yep, Kenya Moore Hair Care limited edition conditioner is available at Walmart.
See, I mean,
it's out of stock. It's out of stock at Walmart.
So, are they carrying it if it's not available?
Well, that means they had it. Okay, and they have the leave-in conditioner. So they have her line. They're out of stock for one thing, which means everybody's ordering it. And her hair care repair leave-in conditioner is $12, which is a perfect price point.
But it is Walmart though. I mean, she couldn't speak for a Target.
Hold on, you don't live here, baby. You don't live here. That is huge. That means that she is available to the American consumer, and especially to Black women.
We have Walmart in the UK.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, you don't have Walmart over there. Walmart is like the most they have Walmarts everywhere in America except New York and San Francisco, because of what we'll have a Walmart conversation another time, because Walmart's not always good for the community, which is why it's not here. But it is also good because it gives low price products to people who need them.
As a entrepreneur, I think if you got a Target deal, a Walmart deal, if you got a major distribution deal, it's definitely a big deal.
It's huge. It's like, even if she makes 50 cents off, and that's like a music deal, this is product, she's probably making $6. Like, she's probably like, even after tax, I would say after tax, she probably gets $2 per bottle. And that's available in Walmarts all over America. And this is a pretty big country. So she's doing well with that. But like you said, her emotional maturity. But also what I was saying, now that she has the spa, people from all over the world will come to get their hair done there. And Kenya is famous for her hair. So this is also like, you can sell and this will they'll sell products at the salon when people go, but just the appointments, just the fact that people will book to go be around Kenya to, hope to get a glimpse of her, that will bring in more money than Old Lady Gang because they're not spending as much on product.
Fair point. But what Erin said about the emotional maturity, it does give me like a certain strategy where she hasn't matured.
You're saying Kenya and Sutton are similar?
In a sense, when you see Sutton, she always tries to play the blame game and makes things about herself.
And I think she's too old to do that.
Exactly. And also, it's certain strat with a little bit of Sharon Osbourne, where the accountability is not there too.
That is true. Kenya does not have accountability, and honestly, neither does Portia.
Again,
and after watching that fight with Portia and seeing like both of their love lives, mirror each other, it's the lack of willing to take accountability and also a willingness to change, because Karen Huger was willing to change. She was willing to be like, okay, this isn't working for me anymore. I'm going to become somebody else. And she did.
So you can have some degree of change, but if your emotional maturity is not there and your accountability is not there, how much are you really changing?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem, I think, with some of the the level of attack with this, is that it's very unhealed behavior.
And I'm a Portia too. Like, she hasn't changed. I was on the live with you earlier this morning about seeing that fight with her and her family. She has this perception we see on Bravo, on the Real Housewives, but then we see the fight we saw with her family. It is a Jekyll and Hyde situation where it just comes across as duplicitous.
Portia definitely gives Jekyll and Hyde. That I'm glad I rewatched that fight, because honestly, I feel like Bravo may have another Brandy Glanville on their hands.
Wow, that's throwing down the gauntlet.
Really? Well, Portia was the one that picked up the boom mic.
And she dragged Kenya across the stage by her hair, and she ran out of the party to go after that girl and actually beat her up in the alley and got sued and had to settle with it, right? And punched
Cynthia in the pussy.
That's right. That's right. I was gonna say there's another one I'm forgiving.
And also
that's unhealed behavior.
And these are only the incidents that we know of.
Yeah, caught on camera.
That are public. And I would say, honestly, Bravo, they better hope and pray they can get a decent season out of Portia. I wouldn't hire her no more, because because she picked up a mic, like she picked up a mic stand. Like, that's one of those things where she's not going, like, I feel like I have an expression. There are people where I'm much more worried about your oops than you're on purpose.
Oh, that's a good one.
I feel like Kenya will do a oops and kill somebody, because you hit somebody in the head with something like that, it can be over in a heartbeat, and then all the I'm sorry's in the world don't matter.
Exactly. I mean, she's a liability at this point.
Yes.
And
I think when somebody...
Anyway, she's a great addition for the show. I wouldn't even put her on a Traitors or like a House of Villains, because she's that much of a liability.
Yeah, or I would say Traitors, because then she wouldn't feel so personally attacked. And if she was, then they voted her off, so they don't got to deal with it.
Yeah, but then there is still that potential that if she were to blow up at someone, we could see a repeat of what we saw with the family.
I mean, we watch people that walk the fine line and we're totally cool with it until they cross it, though, and we call it entertainment. I mean,
Yeah.
I did think Brandy was pretty damn funny on Dorinda's the girls trip. I did, because I also like very well knew what we were getting with her, and there's a slight level of pathetic and sad to it. However, like once you go beyond, so you know what I mean, like. I feel
Exactly.
like
Because
Bravo has a big responsibility lately to be more willing to protect risky talent, or like don't keep putting them on until they crash and burn.
exactly, Erin. Because I saw Brandy on CBB UK many moons ago,
Right.
and she was exactly what you said she was. She was sad. She was like a sad drama, but what just came across as pathetic, and she was voted off pretty quickly. And she was also on Celebrity Big Brother in the US as well recently too, where she
Yes.
was able to bring the drama and the sort of like you could tune in to watch it because you know what you're getting. Where Portia, she's that much of a wild card and a liability. You don't know what you're going to get with her.
Poor Kenya likes to throw rocks and hide her hand. I have to agree with that. We've definitely and just coming off season 6 and getting ready to start season 7, we really get to revisit this behavior from Kenya, where it's like, oh, and you haven't changed.
Well, I mean.
Well, the only thing that has changed on corn is that her corns have got bigger.
But on that note, I think that we've discussed all of today's hot topics. Let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Well, I got no social media, unfortunately. I know I need to get it sorted out. So, Erin?
You can catch me on Instagram at psychic_ELB, psychic E, parentheses, Erin. If you'd like to book a psychic reading, just let me know that you're one of the Biffas and I'll give you a friends and family discount. I'm also on Ray Ray All Day's channel, where we are currently reviewing Drag Race All-Star Season 9.
Well, all right. Thank you all for joining us for this fabulous conversation, and I'll see y'all soon for some.